Greetings, welcome back to Couch Critic, the preseason edition with me, Dennis P, where we look at aspects of Chelsea's performance under Mauricio Pochettino and analyze it. Today we're going to be looking at the Brighton game, where we're going to be looking at Chelsea's ability to play out from the back. Vital part of the game, especially for a team that wants to be in possession a lot of the time and want to be able to be in control of the game. And for the most part, I think that comes from the midfield. And in this particular game, I thought Chelsea had a really young, inexperienced midfield. And it showed in the first half in particular. We didn't have a lot of control. I mean, a lot of what we wanted to do in the build-up phases were not really evident. I thought that we set up basically a 3-2-4-1 when we're trying to play out from the back with Malo Gusto, Thiago Silva, and Colwell making up the back three, Conor Gallagher and Santos making up the two. And then in the wide areas, I think that Chelsea tried to overload the left side of the pitch with Ian Maatsen and Ben Chilwell overlapping and creating angles for us to play through. But for the most part, Chelsea struggled to get through the first phase of the press. I mean, Brighton's obviously a very accomplished team. They've worked on this, the last little while under De Zerbi, and they looked really good. They knew the pressure points were, and they knew how to, manipulate areas on the pitch where we couldn't get on the ball. And for the most part, I expected Brighton to be on the front foot. I expected Brighton to be in more control of the game, just because they have a more seasoned system set up. They know where they need to be. They're very comfortable in their roles and whatnot. Whereas Chelsea is very much still trying to find their way under Mauricio Pochettino, and it was evident, very much evident in this game. I thought Chelsea had a lot of difficulty playing out from the back, with Kepa not really showing the trust into his holding midfielders, into the likes of Conor Gallagher and Andre Santos. A lot of the time when Chelsea were put under pressure, the automatic fail-safe release valve was just sort of hoof it long and hope that Nkunku could knock it down. A lot of what we saw was just like a timidness from our midfield too, just their ability to get on the ball and dictate what's supposed to happen. And for the most, I don't know about you guys, but for me in the preseason, you have to just try as many things as you can and really just trust your teammates to make the right decisions when under pressure. And we just didn't see enough of that in the first half in particular. I thought that Conor Gallagher did a good job of getting on the ball and, spraying passes and whatnot, and, really being the engine in the midfield. Obviously not the most comfortable role for him playing up from the back. Obviously doesn't really play to his strengths and whatnot, but I thought that he was very good at not only getting on the ball, but occupying pockets of spaces where he could, easily get on the ball and dictate what the next move was. I think the problems that he ran into was he wasn't really that great at identifying where the next move was. Often dwelled on the ball a little bit too long, and when the space is closing quickly and teams are pressing real quickly, the decisions have to be a lot quicker in order to break the press. So very few times Chelsea were able to get into the second and third phases of that press. And a lot of the time what happened was we either hoofed it long and hoped to knock it down and win second balls, or when we did get into the first phase, it was very slow and labored, and we couldn't really get the ball advanced into the second area. So that's a lot to work on, and a lot of what we saw today comes down to familiarity and trust on the pitch, and I just don't think that Chelsea have developed enough of that to know that when you're playing out from the back, you have guys that are being marked out of the game. Can I play it into Andre Santos? Is he going to be strong enough to hold the ball up and make the right decisions under pressure? In the end, I think that Chelsea tried to get into the second wave of the press, the second phase of the press, a lot faster. So you saw guys like Ben Chilwell, Ian Maatsen, you saw Nkunku come deep, you saw Carney Chukwuemeka try to come deep and collect. And that proved to be okay. But the problem that I think that we ran into with that particular aspect of the game was when the passes were longer than 15 to 20 meters, long range passes, they weren't the most accurate. And as a result, the receiver was put under an immense amount of pressure and often turned it over. So this is where we need to be. We need to be solid. We need to be strong on the ball. We need to have guys that, can pass the ball accurately out of that first phase into the second phase and, make the connection to that second wave of the press. The likes of Carney Chukwuemeka, the likes of, Nkunku when he comes deep, the likes of, Maatsen, who's very good at coming deep and collecting the ball and, getting on his bike and getting up the field. this is where we need to see more adaptation, more understanding from Chelsea. But overall, I thought that, what we're trying to do, the 3-2-4-1, presents a lot of different angles for Chelsea to break presses. Obviously, Brighton are a little bit more aggressive than you would normally see. They're very good at pressing it high. But I like the idea of having an overload on the left-hand side with Ben Chilwell and Ian Maatsen. And I also like the fact that the angles of where that second wave was coming from was often very, very different and hard to really, really match, hard to really, really mark. I thought that the run from Carney Chukwuemeka in the first half in particular, where he was coming deep and finding pockets of space to get on the ball, bypassing the first wave, bypassing our holding sixes. He was good in that phase. Overall, there's a lot to work on. I think that Chelsea have the tools to be a very good team, playing out from the back. But again, it just comes down to trust, and it comes down to the synergy and understanding of who you have on the ball, who you have to play it to, where the angles are, and people just being more confident with their teammates and understanding that they're gonna make mistakes, but now's the time to do that. That's where you build your trust.